Becomes more politically involved, younger conservative voices are rising in political discourse at the national and state levels. One of these rising voices is an independent journalist, Max Bonilla, also known as Outrage Teen, and he joins me now. Max, thank you for joining us today.
It's good to be with you, McKenna. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. One topic that you've recently been calling attention to is the transgender issue. As we know, President Donald Trump just signed an executive order barring biological men from women's sports. And you have approached Governor Newsom about this issue too. So why is Newsom seemingly uncomfortable with that question? Has transgender ideology had a lasting negative impact on American women and girls?
Yes, I believe so. There are a lot of swimmers and athletes that have been disenfranchised, whether they're on foot or whether they're actually in the water. And the issue is the Biden administration tried to do a Title IX rewrite, which was totally out of their scope. They were abusing their power by doing that. It was about a 400-page rule. So obviously he wasn't sitting at a computer and writing it. And as far as the impact on young Americans, I think that they're actually tired of it, which is why things shifted in this direction. You saw with the under 30s that they actually leaned more towards Trump. And I think the reason is because of the terrible policies of blue states like California. And I think the reason why governors are uncomfortable with the questions is because they don't know how to answer them. The biology doesn't back them up. It's that simple.
Right, and Newsom has also faced criticism for the long-running project on the, quote, non-existent bullet train between Los Angeles and Las Vegas. Why do you think Newsom hasn't kept this project on the schedule for so long, and why isn't it getting done?
Well, people say money laundry, but I may say that it's as simple as incompetence. I think that a lot of money has been thrown at this project, and certainly some of these politicians may have pocketed the money, and they have no real reason to be building this. In fact, I actually saw a TikTok live where there was a construction worker, and he was saying that we were in the process of building the high-speed rail, and they were actually doing really nothing. They were just sitting around. I think that some of these workers are being told not to build the high-speed rail. You've got some big contractors and politicians that are pocketing the money. So, of course, there's no real reason to have any movement on the issue, and it needs to be investigated at the federal level. And I think that's exactly what Trump is aiming for, especially with the new Department of Government Efficiency.
Right, I think this high-speed train was in the project or in the works since Newsom was mayor of San Francisco. So it's been quite some time, but as Californians recover from the major wildfires in and around LA County, Newsom has stuck by his Trump-proofing of the state. Why do you think he is keeping this stance even as he calls for federal aid?
So I think it's all political in nature. I think that he's going to up-talk Trump when he wants the federal aid, but when it's convenient, he will play to the fears of his voters here in the state of California. I think that he has a presidential campaign to run in 2028. There are a few other Democrats in the run, probably like Andy Beshear and Josh Shapiro, and Gavin Newsom is so desperate because he needs to compete. He needs to compete for the attention, he needs to compete for the likes, he needs to compete for the political clout. And Josh Shapiro just has more of that than he does. He's in a blue state of Pennsylvania. It's a moderate state. It actually flipped red during this last election. And so Newsom needs to bolster his popularity with both Democrats and moderates. And this is just his way of getting it done. And I would say it's an immature way because there's no actual reason to be fighting the administration.
Right, and now I want to kind of talk about who you are, what you do. As a conservative young journalist in California of all states, what have you observed both in your journalism and among your peers with Trump coming to office? How has the attitude changed since 2020?
So what's interesting is that I think 2020 was one of those years where there was more stigma around Trump. I think that there were a lot more people wanting to challenge him and actually wanting to get him out. And I think that now that 2024 has come around, they've seen the disastrous policies of the Biden administration. They've seen Bidenomics actually not work out for them. And that includes when it comes to buying a home or paying for groceries or even making a simple trip to the gas station. They've noticed that a lot of pipelines were cut off. One of the things that Biden did is he cut off some of the pipelines down in Alaska. And so obviously the gas thing is just a supply and demand issue. And so when our young voters realize that a lot of these issues can be resolved by using simple supply and demand theory, they want to vote for different people in office who are going to get more homes built, who are going to get our oil going. We need to be drilling for that. And just people with common sense. And I think that we haven't had that in the last 4 years, so they ended up switching up.
Yeah, and what about your work? What are you currently working on, and where can viewers find you?
Well, so I'm into consulting right now, and so that's what I do. I like informing politicians. I like informing candidates, especially people who are in it to save America and who are in it for the intention of making things better, both at the state and federal level, and even sometimes in some cases local levels, because there are swamps of different kinds even at the smaller levels. And so that's an important project to me, and it's supposed to be about helping our country, and it's supposed to be about helping my fellow citizens.
Awesome. Well, Max Benia, thank you so much for your time. Great information, great insight.